Hey guys, Foxdrop here with another game commentary. This game was an Evelynn jungle game that I played, Diamond 1. Now, first off, I want to say that I'm not the greatest Evelynn player, I'm not the best Eve player. That's because I just don't really enjoy playing her and I don't find that she fits my playstyle. So, what I'm going to show you how is basically, this should give you a good understanding of how to play Eve, but I'm not claiming to be MLG World's best Eve player. So yeah, for my runes and masteries, these are kind of, you can change a little bit about these, but I've pretty much just copied what Diamond Prox uses. And his runes, he goes AD reds, armor yellows, flat AP blues, and flat AP Quints. And that seems to be a very, very good rune page in general for Eve. For my masteries, I have gone 2190. Those will all be in the description though, as always, guys, so you can check those out for yourself there. Now for Eve Jungle, there are basically two starting routes you can go as far as items. You can go Huntsman Machine 5 potions, which is what I've done here, or you can go for Blue Pot 5 potions and a ward, or Blue Pot 4 potions and Blue Pot 5 potions and a mana potion, or Blue Pot 4 potions and a ward. That's what you can do, and that just gives you like huge pressure in like your early ganks and stuff, and like your early fighting gives you loads of AP, but it does make you pretty weak in the jungle, and I personally didn't like that, so I just go with Machete when I'm playing her. The whole premise with Eve now is that you want to be ganking as much as possible. Like, you don't pick Eve to clear the jungle. Eve is not very good at clearing the jungle, especially early, because she takes so much damage. Like, you'll use all 5 of your potions in your first clear, and that's not abnormal or anything like that. That's pretty standard. You take huge damage when you're jungling it as Evelynn, so you really want to be ganking as much as possible, and you really have to balance your whole kind of farming with your ganking, because if you take too much damage when you're farming, then your ganks are going to be pretty crappy. So I've just started at blue buff here. I started at blue just so I could get as much help from my bot lane as possible, so that I would take at least amount of damage as possible. If I started at my red, then I myself would have to do more damage to it and tank the red buff for longer, so I would take more damage. I'm up against the Sejuani here, so I don't think that Sejuani is going to invade me at level 2, so I don't really need to be afraid of that. So I don't have to take away my red buff as soon as possible. I think I can leave my red open for a little bit longer, take away my mini camp before I go and take my second big camp. The reason why I do this is because it takes you 3 camps before you get level 3 now, so you kind of want to save your red camp or your second buff till the 3rd camp so that you get the most use of its duration. Also want to line up all the jungle creeps so that you're hitting them all with your hate spikes. Now I see a good opportunity to go in for a gank here. Pretty overextended Yasuo, go in for him. And as soon as his bonus flash, I know he's dead because I flash after him. I've got red buff. We pick up a really easy kill there. And this is pretty much the essence of playing Eve. You just want as much pressure as possible when you're playing. Just show your face in lanes, throw some ganks out, all that lovely business. So now I see a decent opportunity to go to mid potentially. Nothing going, but at least I show my face. I get a tiny whiny bit of harass off, but nothing really major. And I see Sejuani here now. I know I can fight Sejuani because I have so much damage at this level, and what Sejuani does here is she kind of makes a mistake. I position myself in front of her so that she can't Q over a wall. I'm always standing in front of her so that I'm body blocking her Q so she can't escape. Now if I didn't have to use my flash at top lane, I would have got a kill there, but I blow a flash and I prevent her from making any ganks either, and I take away her golems just as a nice friendly invade. I see that CV has gone down in the tri-bush here as well. I wait till I pop my invisibility before I roam here, because Eve is not 100% invisible all the time. If she's just left combat, then she's still out of vision, so people can still see her. I go show for a gank bot lane. I could have actually died here because I got a bit greedy. If Alistair had pulverized me and then headbutted me back into tower, he would have killed me, but I show my face, and what that means is that the support has to dedicate time to stop me from going into the gank so that my laners then get free harass there and they actually end up picking up the kill as well. So now I'm just going to keep farming a little bit more now. I've had a fair bit of pressure. I'm going to just keep farming so I can get some good items when I go back. I buy Sightstone tier 1 boots, 1 ward and 3 health potions. And I'm going to probably going to take away these golems top, or am I just going to go top? Okay, so I'm going to go top here. Now, a downside to Eve is that she has no CC by herself. So without red buff, her ganks are really bad by herself. But if you've got a laner which has CC or high damage, then you don't need to worry about that, because they can more than compensate for the lack of CC that you have. So with Mundo there is a good example. I see Yasuo out of position, so I can go gank him. I don't really need the red buff or the CC for myself. Now this is a pretty good gank here where I just see a good opportunity to go in. Kennen blows his flash and his ulti, and we get Orianna's flash barrier as well. So that's kind of a good trade, I think. She gets really, really low on health, so that just, again, I'm not really getting the kills, but I'm putting the pressure on. And I see as well now that Sejuani would have started a red buff because she would have started at her bottom side. And it's around the 7-minute mark, so I know that her red buff is up, so I can steal this away. I see a good opportunity to do that. I'm out of mana though, which isn't so good. Eve can run out of mana if you're spamming your abilities and clearing too much, but you do get enhanced mana regeneration when you are stealthed. So hopefully it's not too much of an issue. It depends how you're playing it. But it can be an issue if you're just running around from camp to camp. And also that's why you've got to be careful using your W to roam around the map. Because if you use your W, that gets you out of your stealth, which means that you don't get as much mana regen either. But here I can take this away, even though I don't have much mana for myself because I've got red buff. So I take away her red buff, I take away my blue buff, and now I can go and take my red buff as well. At least I want to go and secure that as soon as possible, just so that Sejuani doesn't steal it back. I've had a lot of pressure so far in this game. I'm only 0-0-2, but my presence has definitely been felt. Especially when you compare to what the Sejuani has done, which is nothing. Sejuani has done nothing this game. So I got 3 buffs this jungle route, which is really good. Especially when you compare it to Sejuani, who would have only had 1 buff. So now I'm looking at mid again. I always want to be ganking lanes which don't have their flashes up, which have summoners down, because they're pretty easy kills for me. I see a fairly good opportunity to go in on Orianna. I figure she's probably doing her blue buff, so she might walk around the corner. So I'm kind of walking out, but Kennen isn't on the same page as me, so I'm not blaming him for that at all. It's just miscommunication, so I end up wasting my ult there, unfortunately. And now I'm just going to put my ward deep into the Sejuani's jungle and steal her race away. I'm kind of looking for an opportunity to go in something, and I see Orianna's in a good spot right here. I go in, and Sejuani's here for the counter gank. So this is kind of ugly. I don't have my ult either, which is a shame. So I die immediately, but this should be a pretty good mop up for Kennen. And Kennen does pick up the Sejuani kill. So we trade 1 for 1, and Kennen has double buff. So I think this is worth it overall. If I hadn't wasted my ult before, this would have been a lot better. But unfortunately, I did waste my ult, and so we have to... Unfortunately, we trade 1 for 1 there. Well, we probably shouldn't have. Considering we were far ahead in the game, we shouldn't trade 1 for 1. We were 5-0 in kills. I know a lot of those kills weren't in the mid lane, but still we were quite far ahead. So trading 1 for 1 in that instance probably isn't a great idea, and that was just my mistake for blowing my flash earlier. For my items, I've now bought a Spectral Wraith, and the reason why back in the old days in Season 3, you would get an Elder Lizard, and you'd then go Elder Lizard and Liandry's, and that would be called the Burn build. And it was called the Burn build because your Q, your hate spikes, would proc your Elder Lizard, and they would also proc your Liandry's. And so you would burn people down, but your Elder Lizard doesn't proc off your Q anymore in Season 4. So now I see a pretty decent time to go in for the gank. Unfortunately, Lulu isn't really on the same page. She doesn't use her Glitter Lance to slow down Alistar, which she probably should have done. And maybe she didn't see me there. I didn't think I wanted to go in, but whatever. So, but again, I'm just showing my face, getting off some harass. Not getting the kills necessarily, but we're getting off the harass. And now this is a good time to do Dragon, because the enemy bot lane are under their tower, and they're also low on health. I put down a ward, put down my trinket just in this little dragon bush there, just so that we can see if anyone comes to try and steal, and we take away the dragon for free. And now I loop around to try and get a gank off. This Alice is a pretty free kill, and because I've got my Lulu ult on, I can then tower dive the Caitlyn as well. So this game is now snowballing completely out of control. I'm only, what's my score now? I'm 1-1-4, which isn't really that impressive as a score, considering we have 11 kills as well. I've only been a part of 5 of them, but I think I've had a lot of pressure this game, and this is kind of what I think about when I'm picking Eve or playing as Eve. And like I say, she doesn't really match my playstyle, so I'm not the greatest at her. A lot of players can just go like 10-0 in 5 minutes. I'm not really one of those people, but still, I can have a lot of pressure when I'm playing Eve. That's kind of how I judge my performance on her. I don't judge it by my score. I judge it by what I felt like I've done in the game. And I feel like I've done a fair amount this game, and that's kind of what I think you should be doing when you're playing Eve. I mean, you can also be an assassin and carry really hard on her, and if you do get a bit fed and you get your Deathfire Grass second, then you can 1v1 the AD carry really easily in the mid and late game, especially if they're split pushing and the lane phase has ended. But I see now that the enemies are grouping up mid, and I see a good time to go in. Unfortunately, I get pulverized instantly, so I can't pop anything, and my ult is actually off on cooldown still, so I can't go in there. I flash away. I try to get as much damage as possible off before flashing. I figure I've timed it just right. I timed it away so that I get on a sliver of health when I flash. But unfortunately, Alistair has his flash as well, so I end up going down. But it's still worth it. I mean, we trade 3 for 1 in that instance. So it's all good in the hood. And yeah, unfortunately I didn't have my ult up. If I did have my ulti, which was very close to coming up, I mean it came up when I was still dead. It's up now. That would have been a completely different fight. But unfortunately, it didn't quite go the same way. Now, that was, as far as positioning goes, that fight was pretty good. I came in from the side here. I came in around the side. I came in like a wrecking ball, came in here. And my team were like fighting around here. And that's what you want to do when you're playing Eve. You want to come in from the side or from behind. You don't really want to be the front line necessarily unless you're engaging with your ulti, like a flash ult engage or something. But coming in from the side is perfect. And now this Caitlyn's kind of just out of position. I can pick her off and I try to save Draven, but that's not going to happen. Draven's long gone. Pick up the Sejuani as well. Potentially get this Alistair, but that's going to be a bit difficult. And he does a really good move there. What he does is he CVs over the wall. I don't know why he's got CV, but whatever. So he CVs over the wall to the golems to get vision on them, and then headbutts them so that it puts him over the wall and he can escape like that, which is really smart. But I pick up her red buff here as well. Pick up Sejuani's red. I see Cannon's pushing mid, so I'm just like, yeah, I can help you with this. I'll help you push. I don't want to get too aggro because if all the minions die and the tower's still alive, Orianna can put a ball on me, ult me, and probably one combo me. I'm not too sure whether she could or not, but it's definitely not something I want to risk. And so now I'm just stealing away more of the enemy Sejuani's jungle. I mean, my farm isn't great. It's not too bad, but it's not amazing. But a lot of this farm has been from Sejuani's jungle. And now I see this Caitlyn's kind of out of position again, so I'm just going to come in from behind. Take her down. Nothing special here. We kill her. And I mean, I've fed off this past like 5 minutes. I've got so many kills on this Caitlyn. This is kind of what I feel is a very good way to be playing with Eve as well. Is you want to be just catching the out of position carries after the lane phase. A lot of people fall off after the lane phase when they play Evelynn because they figure, oh, she's good in lane because you abuse the fact that there are no wards to see her anymore, so you just gank lanes 24/7. But then when it gets out of the lane phase, people aren't really sure what to do or how to play her, and this is kind of what you should be doing. You should just be picking people off and still trying to force your pressure. So this game's pretty much over now, so I'm just gonna see what happens next. Nothing. This is basically this game now. We just have to kind of force down towers and stuff like that, and just pressure and not throw and not split up too much, and just group up and force things because we can and we're strong enough to do that. Mundo goes in here. I follow up with my ulti. We're just kind of putting loads of pressure down. If anything, we force them off. We don't get any kills, but we force them off the tower so that we can then push down the tower. I get a bit ham and I actually die, but we get the inhib, so whatever. And that's pretty much the end of the game, I believe. There's only 1 minute left on this recording. Yeah. And for my third item as well, what I would have gone Hourglass. I like to go Spectral Wraith, and then either Deathfire Grasp or Hourglass. I usually get both of them, but from which order I get kind of depends. Most of the time I'll go Deathfire Grasp, because your 1v1 combo is pretty ridiculous with your ult, your Deathfire, and then you just destroy people. So I think that's a pretty good combo. But Zhonya's is also really good if you are the main engage on your team. Then Zhonya's is really, really good. You engage, you get in there, you do loads of damage, and then you pop your Zhonya's, and your team kind of comes in and mops up. But as far as carrying for yourself goes, Deathfire Grasp is the best way to go about it, in my opinion. But yeah, this game's over now, so I just read it cool. So thanks for watching my Eve Jungle commentary, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to visit me on my Twitter, on my Facebook, and you can catch me streaming as well on Twitch. All those links are under the stream in the description. But thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video.